What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens episode review. Today, guys, we are going to be going over episode 43 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens. Now, before I begin this video, I do want to apologize for this review coming out so late. You guys are probably seeing this Thursday night or Friday morning, depending on what time I actually get this done editing, and I want to start off by apologizing for that. If you guys can't probably tell by the audio that something might sound off, well, I've been having a very bad sore throat lately. For the last 2 days, I could barely talk. Like, every time I tried to talk, my voice just felt so dry. I really was just having a hard time really talking. It was really, really bad, and I just couldn't, like, get better for some reason to where I can actually do videos, and it just made it impossible to do videos. And this didn't even happen until Tuesday. I was still going to plan to do it on Monday, but for some reason, I couldn't get the episode. For some reason, the site that I was using to get my episodes, it didn't come out Monday. I don't know if there was some delay in the episode coming out, or I don't know what the case might have been, but I couldn't get access to it on Monday. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, I had the throat problem where I could barely talk, and I still kind of have it. It's gotten a lot better since the last 2 days. I've been taking a lot of medication and stuff. I'm feeling a lot better. But yeah, that's also why there's been lack of videos for the last couple of days. I think the last video I did was the summary preview analysis, so I do apologize on that. But I'm feeling a lot better. A lot of stuff is going to be coming out. I will say that we got the tournament video coming out soon. I got some card game news to talk about, the new Despaya archetype, I think is what it's called, Chronomaly support, Lyralus support, Sherry LeBlanc cards. Like, we got a lot of stuff that's coming up. The summary preview analysis for 44, and then the episode review for 44 as well. So a lot of stuff is coming up, and hopefully my throat does not get destroyed by these mass recordings I'm going to be trying to do. I got my water set here. I am just ready to just sit down and record some videos. So Hope the audio's okay. I really do. I kind of try to boost up the audio a little bit just to try to see if that might help you guys in being able to hear me. So I just kind of wanted to say all that and why this is being uploaded on Thursday. I know I've been having a lot of problems with these episode reviews coming out so late. Also, kind of scheduling kind of hurts it a little bit with it now being released on Saturdays. It's kind of harder to record these, but I had a perfect time and I just couldn't get the video. So again, I do want to apologize for that, but I think that's everything that I needed to say real quick. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. This is going to be a pretty interesting episode to talk about. We got a lot of information. Let's just say that much. So without further ado, let's not waste any more time and let's get right into it. So generally speaking, what did I think of this episode? I like this episode. I really did like this episode. And I want to say this, a lot happened this episode. A lot more than I was expecting to happen in this episode. So let's start off from the beginning. So the episode starts off, we're kind of getting more introduction into the tournament. We get to see the stadium for the first time as Sweets Kakaka was kind of doing the introduction to the whole thing as usual. And we had this thing where people were actually starting to sign in. You have Yuga and the code just walking around. You have Rook trying to still get Yuga to join the tournament. You could really see throughout this episode that he still wants Yuga to be part of his team and actually participate in the tournament. But Yuga keeps telling him, no, I'm just going to be watching the tournament. There is no reason for it. And that was that. And they ended up just kind of exploring the place. They basically are walking around. They eventually see this hooded man just walk by, and they start running after the person, and you have Luke kind of getting left behind again, like as usual. You know, he kind of just goes on and on about winning the tournament and that kind of stuff. I can't really remember what he was talking about, but Yuga, Roman, and Gakuto end up running off, and they end up finding Mimi out of nowhere. Mimi's kind of looking over the thing. She's talking to President Drone, kind of trying to figure out who sent them the notebook, because they still have not figured out who sent the notebook, basically, which that's so confusing. Why are you actually following this? I mean, you just literally are making a tournament that a random person sent to you by a notebook, and you're just going with it. and you don't even know the person. This doesn't even make any logical sense whatsoever. Why are you agreeing to this proposal when you don't even know the person? Like, I don't understand what the heck the motive is with President Drone actually accepting this. I don't understand why, but Yuga and Kove end up running to them and they say, "Oh, Mimi." Like, they actually say Mimi's name. Like, they know that that's Mimi in their masks. And when I first saw it, I was like, what? How could you tell that that's Mimi? Because she's short? Like, what in the world? But, she's kind of denying it, but she then thinks about the notebook and she kind of remembers it being similar to Yuga's notebook back in episode 7 when she was trying to get a hold of that. So she takes off the mask, revealing who she was, which, oh my god, how are these kids not figuring out this? Which they think this is Mimi dressed up as Mr. Goha because apparently earlier in the episode, Roman kind of went to the stands and she was able to get a Mr. Goha like plushie and like a what was it, like a Mrs. Road or something like that? I can't remember what it was, but it was this character with a 7, like a pink 7 with the sevens dual disc, and she was able to get plushies of that. So that was pretty interesting, but they thought that she was wearing a mascot of this. So luckily they didn't already find out, because if they found out that she was actually Mr. Goha already, so they're like, okay, sure, I guess. Like, what? Why are we doing this now? Like, why is she giving up her position right now? But luckily that's not the case. They just think she's wearing a suit, though. I feel like Yuga's gonna find it out pretty quickly. I don't know. This kid apparently figures out everything, so I wouldn't be surprised if he figures out that, oh, Mimi is actually the president of Goha Corporation. She wasn't just wearing a suit for fun. But she ends up asking Yuga if he was the one that sent them the notebook to make the tournament. And obviously Yuga declines this because he has no idea what she's talking about. And that's another thing too. Why would you bluntly say that? I mean, I understand why she did that, because she thought Yuga was the one that sent that. But now Yuga knows that, okay, there's something going on here, because clearly Goha didn't, put the thing together, so who did? And obviously Mimi, puts on her mask, she does the ha 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 again, which, another thing about this whole President Drone thing, it's really weird how he could just talk to his employees by just laughing, and they understand what the heck he's talking about. It's like they understand his language. I do not understand how these guys can understand him when all he does is just go, huh, huh, huh. Like, I don't understand it at all. But they end up leaving the room. They end up getting into, the center of the Goha Corporation, the tournament. They're all getting their registration. Luke, Roman, and Gakuto get registered into the tournament. We actually now have a confirmed team for that, so that's going to make my tournament arc video a little bit easier. And we even got the team name for it, which was Team Luke King, or Kings. I think it was just King, which obviously fits with Luke, and I'm not surprised one bit that it's something to do with him and Luke King. I thought it was going to be Team Gears. I feel like that would have been a cooler name, but hey, you know what? That's the team that they decided on. So now that they're entered in the tournament, and then we see the scene with Galliant and Schwer trying to enter the tournament, but obviously they can't get in because of 3 members. As they were trying, and I'm not even kidding when I say this, they thought that they could get in the tournament by having a pigeon registered in the tournament. They really thought that they could get in the tournament with a bird. Are these guys stupid? I mean, I know this is a weird show with birds being able to duel in the first place, but the fact that they actually thought that the bird could help them get into the tournament, because we do find out that Asana is not entering the tournament. Apparently she told them that she wasn't really feeling good, and she knows that they wanted to enter the tournament, so they want them to still enter the tournament. She even says, have the pigeon enter, you two and the pigeon enter the tournament, and there you go, just continue in the tournament. But obviously you can't enter a pigeon into the tournament, so now they're in a standstill because they cannot do anything. And you have Rook thinking for a minute, in which it was kind of weird the way he was thinking, and he was like, "Oh, Yuga, how about you enter with them? Like, how about you become one of the members of their group?" And they kind of got surprised by this, and even Yuga got surprised by this as well. And Luke, and he said a line that was very interesting to me, and I really do respect him for it. He's like, "I don't want to see myself become the top and see my friends get stepped on because they couldn't enter the tournament because they didn't have enough team members." And I respect Rook for that. Or Luke. Jeez, I just realized I kept doing the Rook thing again. I'm trying to get used to saying Luke, but I think I only say his name as Luke in the summary preview analysis, which is absolutely hilarious. But the fact that he went out his way to say that made me really respect, because he wants to become the Duel King. That has been a goal that he's had since the very beginning of the series. And if this was the way that it was going to be, where he became the Duel King and it was because he had to step on a couple people because they couldn't enter the tournament, he wouldn't feel good about that. He wouldn't be really happy with that. So even though that could have been an easy target to be eliminated out of the competition and maybe make it easier for him to win the tournament, he said, "No, I want them to be able to enter the tournament as well. And since Yuga's not entering, Yuga, you become a part of their team." So I respect him that much, even though you could kind of see when he was doing this that he kind of didn't want to do it, not because he didn't want them to compete in the tournament, but he still wanted Yuga to be a part of his team. You could really see throughout this episode that he was having a hard time letting Yuga go and being a part of this team, which I guess kind of shows how much of a strong bond they kind of made with each other. I mean, I feel like they've been like rivals to each other in a way, so that's kind of hard to see him do that. But Yuga was kind of conflicted about this, and Chevelle and Galliant kind of started asking him, and you even have Galliant saying Lord Yuga, and Yuga's kind of having a problem. He's like, "I'm not wanting to enter this tournament." And then you have Otis out of nowhere coming out of his hood and challenges Yuga to a duel, which I was surprised of. There was a silhouette man in the summary, and it sounded like that was going to be the man that dueled Yuga, but it was Otis this time, which I'm not going to lie to you guys, I kind of sighed at that, because to be honest, Otis has been a character, and I'll take this as the unpopular opinion on this. I know I have an unpopular opinion on this. I have not really been that much interest in Otis, or at least from a dueling perspective. His dueling has not been impressive at all. Every single time this character has dueled, he has gotten OTK'd. In the duel between Yuga, after he was able to deal damage to him after getting Blue Eyes, he gets OTK'd the next turn. During that duel with Gakuto, he takes the first turn, deals damage, and gets OTK'd the next turn after that. That duel only lasts 2 turns. So going into this, I was just like, is this just going to be another OTK? Like, I really feel like this is what they're going to do. So really was worried about that. But now going into the duel, now after this duel, I definitely think I have like a better respect for Otis. For 2 reasons. His dueling got better. He actually had more than 1 turn to actually do something, so that was a bonus for him. Shows him that he's some kind of capable duelist, but this also kind of shows what kind of role he plays that I actually would say is probably his good part about it. Although I don't like his dueling as much, outside of it, that's probably his most interesting thing about it. As throughout, or like in the middle of the duel, he kind of like scares Yuga a little bit by talking about, you're just kind of sitting to the side. Like, is that all you wanted to do? Like, just have rush duels be out to the world and that's it? That's your end goal, basically? And then he kind of scares them and talks about how, like, rush duels might just end up becoming like the old style of dueling, which is something that Yuga does not want to happen. We saw in a flashback where he kind of seemed like he was depressed at the regular style. I remember that scene where he was just like, kind of looked like he was walking through the Goha Corporation building, and he's just holding his duel disc, and he just seemed sad about it. And I think that kind of gave him the inspiration of why he wanted to make rush duels and make this new style that's more fun and not really restrictive, which I don't know how go-out duels are restrictive. Like, that makes me interested in, like, what did the old style do to make it so restrictive? Like, I'm really interested to see if they might go down that route. I don't think there's going to be a Go-Ha duel. I think this whole entire series is just going to be rush duels, but oh well, what are you going to really do about it? That's probably the whole premise of this entire show. But this kind of worries Yuga, and you kind of see him getting nervous, and that's where you kind of see him getting a smile, and he kind of snaps out of it, which I'm very glad that someone did mention it, because I didn't want to mention it really heavily in the last episode review that I did, because I wanted to give the show a chance to kind of do something, because I had a feeling that they would do this, but I wanted just to make sure, just in case. That way when we got to the end of arc and they didn't do anything about it, I didn't have to go on a rant for 20 minutes, because I feel like that's kind of bland for Yuga if his only purpose was just to create rush duels and that was it. There needed to be more. That is every single protagonist in any single show, honestly. They want to make something big. Like, think about 5Ds, for example. You had Yusei wanting to rebuild New Domino City so that people from the satellite and people in the tops could live together in harmony. That's what his goal was. But he didn't stop from there. Not when the whole city was built together. He didn't stop from there. He didn't just say, oh, right, now that New Domino City and Satellite are combined, they could do whatever they want. No, he stayed behind to try to make sure that the city can run functionally well. He still had a goal even after New Domino City and Satellite became one. Yuga kind of needed that. The fact that his only thing wanted to be just to create rush duels and have people have a fun game to play, and that was it. There needed to be more for that. Yuga knew that he wanted more than that, but because it kind of inflicted with some of the other stuff that people wanted, I feel like he didn't want to take that route. Think about what he said back in episode 13, when he wanted to become the Dual King. He knows well that Luke and Roa want to become that. So, why say that and then you decide to like do a one whole 80 on that? He wants to do it. He said it sounded interesting to him and gave him another goal after just creating rush duels. So now he understands that, and that's what he wants to continue on with, is having this goal of wanting to basically show like rush duels off, like the way he wanted to. He wants to get more involved in rush duels. That way it doesn't die, whether he becomes the Dual King or not. And these kids were excited to see the Yuga duel because this is the creator of rush duels, and they even start to doubt him a little bit. And that's where you kind of get Otis kind of get in this conversation with them, and that's where Yuga decided to finally snap out of it. So really good in that part. Otherwise than the dueling, we got to see Summon School, which I'm not surprised. When Otis duels, we're just going to see a legend card. I feel like that's his main purpose, what he's doing, which, if he is a duelist where he doesn't show off often, but every once in a while he duels, he shows off a new legend card, I'm fine with that. I really am fine with that. It's cool to see these legend cards in action again. You know, we haven't seen Summon School in a long time. Like, I think the last time I seen Summon School was probably when I rewatched Duel Monsters like 5 or 6 years ago or something like that. Like, it's been a while since I've seen Summon School in action. And think about from the people that haven't watched Yu-Gi-Oh! Since it was airing. Like, that's 20 years ago since you've seen that card. At least with Blue Eyes and Red Eyes, you know, you had, what's his name? Atticus used Red Eyes. You had Roku from Zexel use Blue Eyes in that one duel. So, like, we've seen these other cards, but Summon Skull has not been used in a very, very long time. So, to see that card again, and the way it was summoned and it's, like, animated, it was so crisp. It was so good. Like, I really do think Summon School was like one of the best summoned monsters so far. I loved its summoning chant. I loved when it was summoned. It looked so menacing. It was absolutely incredible. Another thing with this, and this is something that I just saw, and some people might not see this and might think that I'm looking way too much into this. I want to take a look at Yuga's last turn. We also got to see Seven's Road Warlock, which was pretty cool, but one card that really made it to me was the spell card that Yuga used on his final turn. And that spell card was, I believe it was Seven's Magic Twin Burst. I believe it was called. Now, does that card sound familiar to anyone? Well, there has never been a card like that before, but there's been a card similar in a certain person's deck. Let's take a look at the Bonds Beyond Time movie real quick. There was a card that Yugi played against paradox in the Bonds Beyond Time movie called Dark Magician or Dark Magic Twin Burst. Sounds familiar? Yuga just used a Sevens Road version of Yugi's Dark Magic Twin Burst in this episode. Wow. it just kind of shows to me the similarities between these two characters. Again, I mean, think about it. We have not had a protagonist with a spellcaster ace monster since Yugi. Yugi has been the only character that has used spellcaster. Everything else has been warrior or dragon. You know, you had Utopia and Neos as your warrior. You had Stardust and you had Odd Eyes for your dragon. And then you had the Cybers for Yusaku. But kind of looking at it, Firewall Dragon, Dragon Monster, or you want to say Decode's the Ace Monster, it looks like a warrior. I mean, come on, that's it seems like that's always been the trope for the last couple of shows, but now we had this new character that uses spellcaster type monsters, and now is playing a similar card to what Yugi had. And another thing too, and this is just where I'm going off the rails for a second on this, I may be looking way too much into this. Think about the group for a second as well. Like, I feel like this is the bridge version of the Yugi crew. I am not even kidding. Think about it. You have Luke, who is your Joey character, which tries to be comedic, which I would say Joey was a very comedic character. And then, you know, he kind of wasn't the smartest person, and we've seen that Luke hasn't been the smartest person. You have Gakuto, which I feel like the only character you would relate to, which, to be honest, I might be wrong about this, but didn't Tristan want to be a member of the student council? Like, wasn't that a whole thing in season 0? Now, to be fair, I only watched the first episode in season 0, and it has been a while since I've watched it, so I could be remembering it wrong. This could be just another example of it just being another male member of the group. You could just say it as that as well. But didn't Tristan want to be a part of the student council, or was he part of the student council? I couldn't really remember if he was or not. But then, obviously, then you got the main female lead in the form of Taya and Roman. So there you go. And another similarity I just thought about. Let's take a moment to look back at DSOD real quick. What was Yugi's motive? What did he want to do after he graduated from high school? He wanted to create a game to where when everyone came back, they can have a game that they can all play together. That was his goal at the end of DSOD. He wanted to create his own game. What was Yuga's goal? He wanted to create an own game to where everyone can enjoy this new game that is not restricted by the old rule set. Very similar kind of goals there as well. This might be just me overanalyzing this, but this is just something that I've thought about for a while. This is the bridge Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters crew. And then you can have Otis kind of like the Yami Yugi kind of figure that kind of like these characters look up to. You know, kind of DSOD, they like kind of remember what the Pharaoh kind of taught them. So yeah, you kind of had that similarity as well. But again, that's just kind of what I thought about. So getting back to the duel, Yuga ends up winning the duel, which I'm not really surprised about. They kind of talk about after a little while, and then out of nowhere, security ends up coming up and starts and confines Otis. They actually arrest Otis. And I want to remind you back to a little bit before the duel began. He was in the flesh. Every time that we have seen him, he has been this holographic figure. And even Luke says that, oh, well, this is just a hologram. Like, it's not a real person. And then the pigeon proves him wrong right away as he lands on top of Otis's head and basically shuts Luke up. So that was kind of funny there as well. But because he violated Article 666, Section 666, which obviously you have to have that devil reference. Apparently because he got disqualified from a tournament in a previous setting, he could no longer enter a facility of a tournament. And if he did, he had to basically get arrested. Wow. I mean, geez. And also, I know this is just a joke from the series. This kind of boggles me that Goa Corporation has at least 666 articles on this, with at least 666 sections in that article. Holy crap. Like, that is a lot. even I understand it's like the devil like reference there, but still, like, even if like you think that for real life standards, that's a lot. That is a lot of articles and sections in the 600s. My gosh, dude, there is a lot of rules in Goa. But he ends up getting arrested. Yuga decides to enter Galleon into his team. Yuga and Luke have this nice send off moment where he's like, we'll meet each other in the finals. They end up like giving themselves a nice, like, I don't say it was like a handshake, but like, you know, like the bro grab where like you kind of grab your hands together like in kind of like a, I don't know, it's weird to describe it, you guys remember it, but like they kind of give them off as send off. You know, you kind of have Luke kind of looking a little bit upset. Gakuto tells him that they kind of need to go. He gets happy about it and they end up leaving. And then this is where the end of the episode gets very interesting. The silhouette man from the summary ends up coming up, and they're digging underground. I don't know the reason why, but we see this character, and he tells us that he is going after Goha Corporation. And funny enough, and this was something I don't know if anyone else noticed, that guy didn't have a G on his head. It was the same thing as the original like Goha shape of the mask, but it had a little line down by it to represent a 6 instead of a G. And let me know if you guys caught that as well. That was something that I noticed when watching episodes. Like, that's not a normal Goha mask. And when I heard that they were going after Goha, surprised me, which I'm going to say this right now. Thank you, Bridge, for finally doing something different. It was getting really repetitive because all of the villains in the show was just going after rush tools. It was starting to get really repetitive. I was really getting sick and tired of that being the only motive that these characters going after. I understand that rush tools was this big deal to these people at Goha, but you could have done something more different. And that's what this character in this double six crew out of nowhere. I mean, we now got a new group in the presence, so that was very interesting as well. We also see Asano. So, by the way, Asano just basically lied to her group. She said that she was not feeling good, but no, she's under there with Caterpillar out of people. I'm surprised to see him again, which, to be fair, Seven has done one thing very good, and that's bringing back characters. Normally, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has not really brought back many characters as Sevens does, which, to be fair, I understand that because they're not important to the story anymore. There's no reason for it. But they're bringing back a lot of these characters that honestly I think should be one-offs. Like, to be honest, I don't care one bit about Caterpillar. He has not been an interesting character at all, but they decided to keep him in the story still, which is pretty interesting, though. It always still worries me because there might be too many characters in the cast, and I've said that before, like, having a big cast, depending on the way you write the show, could be good, but it also can bite you in the butt. I think at Arc 5, it had way too many characters, and I felt like it kind of hurt some characters because you had way too many characters. So I do kind of worry with this show as well. Like, I remember I asked you guys the question of how many characters. Someone told me that there's more than 30 characters that have actually had speaking roles in the show, and this probably has been more since of the double this guy from this episode, the member of the Double Six crew. So there might be more than 60 characters or 30 characters. Jesus, 60. There were 60 characters. My God, this might be up to the 40s at this point. So that's very interesting as well. So what is Double Six motive and why are they going after Goa? I have no idea. Maybe I really cannot see what these characters are doing. So yeah, let me know what you guys think these characters are really doing. Who do you think these characters are? Are these new characters that we've never seen before? Or do you think these are older characters? I don't know what old characters we've seen other than like the Top of Hexagon members, because those guys ended up getting fired. Yo, that would be funny though, if it was the Top of Hexagon members getting their revenge on Goa Corporation because they fired him. That would be hilarious. That's a big 6 move right there. Though, to be fair, that's not really a good thing because you know what? I really don't care. The big 6 were trash. The big 5, excuse me, not the big 6. The big 5 from Duel Monsters, they were trash. They were not good characters at all. But maybe they're gonna kind of play that role. They're gonna go after Goha because they ended up firing them. Who really knows? But other than that, I think that's gonna be it. There was definitely a lot to cover in this episode. But guys, that is going to be it for this episode review. probably one of the longest reviews that I've had in a while, which to be fair, I had like a whole monologue at the beginning, kind of explaining why videos have not been out recently, why everything has been so, or at least for this review in particular. I have really nothing for the other stuff. I've just been busy with work, so apologize for the lack of uploads. I have not really done that well in uploads this year than I have done for the last couple of months before the end of 2020. So hopefully I can get better and get back in the rhythm. I mean, definitely this shift in the schedule of when Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens actually airs has kind of hurt me a little bit, but you know what? It's fine. You know what? It's just me adapting to it. I'm not used to doing it. I'm used to doing the reviews on Sunday, but now I just got to get used to them and trying to do them on Monday and fitting it with my work schedule. So we'll just see what happens. But guys, that is going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what your guys' thoughts on this episode. A lot happened in this episode, so definitely interested in what your guys' thoughts are on this episode. Did you like the episode? Did you think it was an okay episode? Or did you not really care for this episode at all and you didn't like it? Let me know what you guys thought of Otis returning. We haven't seen that character since episode 13, so that was pretty interesting to see him again. What do you guys think of Double Six? I mean, they are very menacing characters, to say the least, so I'm very excited to see what those characters bring to the table. But other than that, that's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, guys, take care and have yourselves a great rest of your day.